परम तत्वाय नारायणाय गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम जय गुरुदेव। जय परम पूज्य गुरुदेव की जय। परमहंस स्वामी निखिलेश्वरानंद महाराज की जय। पूजनीय बाबा भूतनाथ जी की जय। भगवती बगलामुखी की जय। भगवती काली की जय। सिद्धाश्रम की जय। I will start today's satsang with a small hymn to Lord Hanuman. अतुलित बलधामं हेमशलाभदेहं धनुजवन कृशानं ज्ञानिनामग्रगण्यं सकलगुणनिधानं वानराणाधीशं रघुपतिप्रियभक्तं पातं जातं नमामि। जय हनुमान जी, जय काल भैरव जी। So we'll continue today's lecture. The previous one, we talked about some of the similarities in terms of how Kal Bhairav as well as Hanuman ji, who are both the avatars of Shiva, takes different forms depending on the situation that their devotees are in, depending on different nature of the work. I gave some examples in terms of how a mother lion, who may appear very ferocious to us humans because she may see us as an enemy or as a threat to her cubs, but she's equally very, very loving and very soft-natured towards her own children. No one person can be of the same type during the day. Like, even we experience, like from the morning to the night, we assume different modes. We undergo different tests. We undergo different challenges day to day, year over year. No one person can be happy all the time. No, the same person cannot be angry all the time. The same person cannot be sad and miserable all the time. The same person cannot be in ecstasy all the time. And the same person may be happy at one point and equally miserable at the next hour. According to different circumstances, according to different situations that we are put through, right? We ourselves assume so many different forms. We play different roles in our lifetimes. We play the role of a daughter, of a wife, of a daughter-in-law, of a brother-in-law, of a sister, of friend, of being a good partner. So many different forms. It all depends on the situation we are in. It all depends on the type of relationships we are in. It all depends on our surroundings. It all depends on our environment. But everything is changing. There's nothing that remains static. And again, I think change is the only constant thing that we experience. Similarly, in this case, we see that many of us, we know that Hanumanji is, he is a very, very, very loving God and very well worshipped in many Indian households. It's a common practice to chant Hanuman Chalisas on Tuesdays and Saturdays in our households. Most of the temples in India will have Hanuman Chalisa on a daily basis. So it's a very common practice. But not many people know about the Panchmukhi form of Hanumanji, where he assumes 5 faces. And I did give a brief introduction in my previous lecture. So I do want to go to the next step. Again, this lecture and this satsang today is not going to go into the depth of Panchmukhi Hanuman Kavach, but if any one of you is interested, do please let me know, put a comment. I'm happy to definitely dissect every little verses that we have in the praise and in the glory of Lord Hanumanji. And definitely, I'll definitely put effort towards explaining Panchmukhi Roop of Hanumanji as well. But today's satsang is not going to go into the depth. It is more about how Kal Bhairav and Hanumanji, because many people do ask questions that are they the same, and sometimes they feel that if they're already doing Hanumanji, should they be doing Kal Bhairav or not? So such questions should not arise. Kal Bhairav, Bhairav is a very loving form of Shiva as well, and I just want to educate that there is no harm, just as you're doing a Hanuman Chalis or just as you're doing a basic Hanuman Nitya Mantra or a Nitya Jap in your house, absolutely no harm in doing basic puja and Kal Bhairav Ashtakam in your homes with Bhairavji as well. Both assume similarities. There are several similarities. And in fact, when you look at, sometimes it does appear when you're worshipping Hanuman, you do feel that I am also praying to Kal Bhairav, especially for people who know Kal Bhairav very form. They look so similar, and they appear to be so similar in many forms. So they are, they very well coexist. So it is definitely very, very safe, very auspicious if one could do both together. So we talked about the two directions of Panchmukhi yesterday. We talked about the east, and we also talked about the south directions. Today we'll go into, we are going to go into the west and the north direction. So I will just sing the words. Again, the satsang, I'm not going to be able to finish every single word, and I'm not going to be able to dissect every verse and every little letter here, but I will give a high-level overview of Panchmukhi and how Hanumanji, in many terms, is similar to Kal Bhairavji. So let's get started. So, Paschimam Garudam Vaktram Vakratundam Mahabalam Sarvanaga Prashamanam Vishabhutadi Krintanam. Here in the west direction, our Hanumanji has assumed the form of Garuda, and Garuda, who is also the Vahan of Lord Vishnu. And in the west direction, he's actually doing the action of keeping the Nagas in control. Again, just if you understand the depth of it, it doesn't really mean Naga in terms of snakes, of course, snakes as well, because snakes also cause a lot of harm to many people, and a lot of people fear snakes, a lot of people fear Nagas. So what it is saying here is that it is in the process of destruction of the Nagas, of the snakes, of the Vish Bhutadi Krintana, of the poison that is being emitted from these snakes and Nagas. So Nagas, even when they're not emitting any poison, just the sight of a Naga can be so fearful. Imagine a snake just crosses by, even when it is a non-poisonous snake, right? A very, very gentle snake, right? Doing his own business. And suddenly you can imagine if you're going on a walk and a snake crops up from somewhere, you can only imagine the fear that it will invoke. So Hanumanji here is the one who can also control the fear of snakes. He will bless you so you do not get that freedom and the liberation from any kind of fear that you have, whether it's your enemy and whether it's your snakes, whether it's the snakes as well. Any kind of poisonous snake who are emitting poison is also something that Hanumanji can easily help his devotees. I do want to mention one thing, that a lot of people, they used to come to my Guruji and they ask me and they ask us in terms of, a lot of times they see snakes in their dreams. They sometimes see the visions of snakes. Sometimes the snakes appear to be very fearful in the dreams, and it could be a recurring dream. A lot of people get a recurring dream where they continue to see, especially black snakes. Sometimes if the snakes appear very fearful in your dreams, then take it as a sign that it is definitely not a good sign in terms of either you have some Kal Sarpa dosha, which again is a dosha, or it's something that has been accumulated not from the current birth, but these kind of planetary positions or these kind of doshas you will definitely see in your horoscope, which has been accumulated from your past karmas and your past births as well. Something that you may have done in your past birth, because again, horoscope is nothing but really a mirror reflection of all that you've accumulated over the years. So if someone is seeing snakes, if someone is constantly seeing snakes and being fearful of seeing snakes in his dreams, um, a yes, I think it creates fear, and sometimes the snakes may also appear as uh, you know, injuring or harming that person in the dream. Sometimes they may appear as doing nothing yet fearful. Sometimes they may appear as emitting poison or doing some kind of an injury to his devote to the people who is dreaming. So it is generally not considered to be very auspicious. So it could be a kalsarp dosh. Again, some astrologer will definitely be able to see those. But yes, again, right, if someone who is doing the puja of Hanumanji or Kal Bhairav which I'll explain, um, Hanumanji is also one devata who can eradicate or who can take control of all your Navgraha doshas. Now, if you know a little bit of Ramcharitmanas, there is a very interesting story when Ravan, right, Ravan was, most powerful. And he had all the Navgrahas, all the 9 planets under his control. All the Navgrahas who we are so afraid of, they were very afraid of Ravan. They could not even move an inch without the permission of Lord Ravan. So they were going through a lot of, they were petrified of Ravan. And there is a story where Ravan has subdued all the ill effects, and he is really superimposing these Navgrahas and controlling these Navgrahas. And Hanumanji comes, especially Shani. Hanumanji comes and he liberates Shani, and that's why you will see that the Shani then blesses Hanumanji and says that whoever is going through my Shani Dasha, or whoever wants to please me, or whoever is seeing the ill effects of Shani, if they pray to Lord Hanuman, they will never be impacted by the effects of Shani. And that's why you will see that on Saturdays in the temples, there is usually a long lines for Shani Bhagwan, where of course you offer tel and oil and everything, but people always do Hanuman Puja together, because is that the pact or the deal that Shani and Hanumanji made together, that whoever uh, wants to please me, any devotee of Hanumanji, I make sure that I will never touch those Hanuman devotees. I will never show any of my mal effects or ill effects, or any of my doshas will not impact Hanuman devotees. So all Navgrahas, Shani, any kind of Navgraha doshas can easily be controlled by the grace of Lord Hanuman. So here, when we were saying Sarvanaga Prashamanam, so in the west direction, he assumes the form of Garud, and he is doing the action of shaman, of destruction of the Nagas. Again, Nagas can be snakes. If you have a fear of snakes, then if you are a devotee of Hanumanji, Hanumanji will make sure that that fear is taken away and you no longer fear snakes. And Vish Bhutadi, if snakes are emitting poison, or if you're seeing something in dreams and all of that, Hanumanji can control all your Navgraha doshas, Kalsarpa doshas, and everything. Again, Sarp is a snake, Nags are associated with Shiva. Anybody who is a devotee of Shiva need not fear snakes, because Shiva really is decorated with snakes. I mean, who else other than the real controller of snakes? I mean, snakes are nothing but his own garland and his own embellishment. So if you are already a Shiv pujari, or if you're already a Shiv bhakt, or if you're already a Shivji ke devotee, then there is nothing that you need to fear. Whether you are worshipping Shiva in Shiva's form, or you're worshipping Shiva in Hanuman's form, or you're worshipping Shiva in Kal Bhairav form, because both are Shiva's form, there's nothing that you need to fear. And in fact, you will see that a lot of times when we read about a lot of saints, my own Guruji and all, when they used to do sadhanas and all, we have done so many sadhanas where snakes used to be around our vicinity back. This is like 20, 15 years back. There was no like very, very, modern kind of a place. I remember Guruji and several saints that I have met, right? They do sadhanas in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of forest, where there is absolutely no access to even the basic amenities, right? Let alone food, water, and all that is a very distant reality. I'm just talking about even the basic security and safety was always a question. There used to be scorpions and snakes literally in the middle of forest and lying there, and that's where our Guruji and a lot of saints that we have made, they just happily sit and do their sadhanas, and you will never hear any incident where a snake has bit a saint. Because again, I think they know and they understand how to live in harmony with these creatures, and they definitely, these gurus and these saints, they radiate some kind of a positive love and energy that the snakes also do not see them as a threat. And again, right, like I explained, animals will only attack you in their own self-defense. The snake doesn't have got nothing to do with us. But if he sees you as a threat, so definitely, I think the natural reaction is for anybody, for humans as well, right? If somebody you feel is threatening you, the first your line of defense would be either to stay away, but at a certain point you will try and attack, right? So in this case as well. So yeah, I mean, a lot of saints, a lot of gurus, I was talking about my own Guruji who used to do nightly, all night sadhanas in the middle of a very, very remote forest, absolutely no access to anything. And there were snakes crawling around and all, but there was no fear because, once you're a devotee of Shiva, and I mean, Shiva is the controller of snakes, so there is nothing to be fearful about. But again, it's also our action and it is also our responsibility and duty to be very mindful of our surroundings, of the animals who also coexist with us, and also to not harm. Sometimes we used to, in our childhood, we used to hear that in villages, people used to kill snakes, people used to literally beat them up with sticks, and also those kind of, again, these kind of actions and things can appear as Kal Sarp dosha in your next birth, because definitely you have done something in this whole snakes domain where something that has happened, and then this Kal Sarp dosha will appear in your kundali one way or the other, and it will definitely, it never gives good results. So make sure we are also respecting snakes as well if we are really truly devotees of Shiva. So Hanumanji here is taking care of Sarvanaga Prashna. Again, Nag can also be your own enemies, anybody who is trying to emit poison and emit any kind of, or is trying to attack you or trying to threaten you, or Nag means somebody who is always trying to disturb you. Nag, right? So it could be your own friend, it could be your own, anybody in your own circle that you know, it could be your own relatives, it could be your people at work, colleagues at work, anybody, right? So all kind of fear, and sometimes in Hindi we say, right, we call these kind of people as saap, like or dasega, like that snake will definitely has the tendency to bite and definitely attack. So we sometimes, when that there is a certain enemy, we kind of correlate them to snakes, right? So similar here. But if you're a Shiva Bhakta or if you're a Hanuman Bhakta, you need not fear any of these enemies. Now, if we talk about Kal Bhairav as well, when we are talking about Kal Bhairav, who's in the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam, we said that Vyalayagya Sutram Indushekharam Kripakaram. Here he's wearing the Yagyopavit of snakes. If you look at the photo of Batuk Bhairav, the child form, if you look at lot of the different forms of Kal Bhairav, usually he will be seen wearing a garland of snakes, or he will be seen wearing a Yagyopavit, which is a sacred thread in our Sanatan Dharma. And so Bhairav is also, so he also carries snakes, like he acts like he need not fear snakes. So why are his devotees fearing snakes? Snake again is an ornament. Snake, Shiva and Bhairav are decorated with snake thread and snake necklaces and snake garlands and snake yagyopavit. So if you're a devotee of Kal Bhairav Ashtakam, of Kal Bhairav, who is Vyala Yagyasutram Shekharam Kripakaram, who is wearing the snake, who can easily control the snake. So one need not fear snakes. Okay, let's move on. So we'll now go to the last direction for today's satsang, Uttaram, which is the north. Uttaram Sokaram Vaktram Krishnam Deeptam Nabhopamam Patala Sinha Vetala Jvararogadi Krintanama. So in the north direction here, again, Panchmukhi Hanuman has assumed he is in the north direction and he's a Varaha Mukha in the form of a Varaha, in the form of a boar, you can say. And he's Krishnam Diptam Nabho. Nabho means sky. So here he is not in the usual Sinduri color that we see in temple, that orange Hanumanji. Again, in this direction, he has assumed the boar shape and he's Krishnam Diptam Nabho. He's his complexion like a sky. He appears like Digambar. He appears like all encompassing. He is in all directions and he's Krishnam. He appears in the color of a Krishna or Shama, like a blue grayish kind of a sky color. So that is how he's appearing here, and he can destroy all kind of jwar rog, means all kind of diseases, no matter. You may have severe ailments and you may have a lot of health issues and all. If you're a bhakt of Shiva or Hanumanji, and if you definitely are chanting Panchmukhi Hanuman Kavach, Hanumanji will definitely bless you, and he definitely can help with a lot of health related issues for his devotees. So when we go to Kal Bhairav, he also talks about, if you remember the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam, again, if you've forgotten, go back, understand line by line of Kal Bhairav Ashtakam. So you may not fear Bhairavji, and he's not what he appears with those kind of teeth and eyes and always ready to attack. It's definitely not. Of course, it is for certain instances in certain cases, but not all the time, right? In this case, in Bhairav, he is... if you remember what we said, Shamakaya Madi Devam Aksharam Niramayam. So he is also Shamakaya. He is also Sham complexion. He is also the color of Sham, like Krishna color, okay? So similar when we talk about complexion also, Panchmukhi Hanuman in certain cases also assume that Krishna form, the sky form, the color of it, and Bhairavji also. Again, Bhairavji has 64 forms of Bhairav, but there is also Ashta Bhairav. When you understand what Ashta Bhairav is, where it is Asitanga Bhairav, Ruru Bhairav, Chanda Bhairav, Krodha Bhairav, Unmata Bhairav, Smashan Bhairav, Sahara Bhairav, Vishnu Bhairav. So in that case, the Ashta Bhairav, not every Bhairav is black in color, not every Bhairav is Krishna color. Even the complexion of Bhairav also has different forms. Even the weapons that they carry has multiple forms. It's not always the same that Bhairav has only carries what we see in Kal Bhairav. In Ashta forms, every form of Bhairav carries a different weapon. In Batuk Bhairav form, even the Batuk Bhairav forms carries a different weapons. In Swarnakarshan Bhairav, who was the giver of wealth and Swarna, he assumes a completely different form and different weapons. So I think I'm almost at the end of it. I did want to cover the weapons today, but I think we'll continue in the next lecture. I hope for now you have understood most of the similarities, at least in the terms of directions. But I do have a lot to cover, and we'll continue this satsang some other day. And there's also Hindi lectures being uploaded. So if you still want to also watch the same videos in Hindi as well, you can definitely refer to those as well. All right, chaliye. All right. Jai Gurudev. Om Param Tattvaya Narayanaaya Gurubhyo Namaha.